Marlon's daughter, April Windsor, was coerced into trafficking drugs for Celia and Ray Walters throughout much of 2025. She was convinced she owed them money, leaving her with no choice but to carry out tasks for the pair, which involved dealing substances and even engaging in sex work. Eventually, April opened up and told Marlon and Rona Goskirk the truth. They did everything they could to shield their family, but they had no idea just how ruthless Celia and Ray were when it came to protecting their criminal operation. Nearby, Paddy was preoccupied with searching for his father, Bear Wolf. During this time, and completely unaware of his friend's struggles, he didn't realize that Dylan Penders was also working under Celia and Ray. Paddy only learned that Bear had become another victim of the duo's cruelty at the beginning of 2026. Dylan later revealed the full story, which ultimately led to Bear returning from the farm and killing Ray. Both Paddy and Marlon have since done everything possible to protect those closest to them, and now that Celia and Ray are gone, attention turns to how they cope with the aftermath of everything they've endured. At the beginning of the week, the focus shifts to Paddy, who is struggling with the possibility that he could face prison for interfering with justice. After a challenging moment at the veterinary clinic, Paddy goes back inside and notices the bolt gun. It immediately reminds him of a dark time in his past when he had planned to use it to take his own life. Overcome with panic, Paddy rushes out of the building and makes his way to Smithy Cottage, where he desperately knocks on the door. When Marlon answers, he instantly pulls him into an embrace. Marlon quickly senses something is wrong, noticing from Paddy's appearance that he seems like a completely different person from earlier. As Paddy begins to unravel over the looming court case, Marlon attempts to comfort him and suddenly comes up with a plan. The two of them head off together and arrive outside Celia's farmhouse, each armed with a sledgehammer. Their intention is to destroy the place while venting their anger and pain. Although the act is meant to help Paddy release his emotions, Marlon also finds himself overwhelmed as buried trauma resurfaces. In that moment, Marlon loses himself entirely, with memories of April's ordeal and the suffering of his family flooding back, along with guilt over everything he feels he failed to do. He channels all of this into smashing the kitchen table, which he sees as the center of Celia and Ray's cruelty, where they likely planned the harm they inflicted on others. As his rage spirals out of control, it ultimately falls to Paddy to calm him down. Emmerdale has revealed Tracy Robinson's upcoming exit scenes, with Kane facing an emotional farewell. Next week, Tracy is torn between excitement and sadness as she gets ready to leave her loved ones behind for a career opportunity she can't refuse. Despite feeling guilty about taking her daughter Frankie away from her grandfather while he is battling prostate cancer, Tracy knows she must focus on building a better future. Looking back over the past year, she feels she has been stuck working in the village shop without earning enough to survive, which even pushed her to steal from Eric Pollard in desperation. Now, however, a new opportunity has come her way after receiving a job offer from Cara Robinson, the mother of her late husband Nate. An insider explained that the decision hasn't been easy, but Tracy believes putting herself and Frankie first is the right thing to do. Telling Kane about their plans has been especially painful, knowing how much he needs support, but she hopes he won't let Frankie leave without a proper goodbye. Tracy's departure comes as the actress takes time off for maternity leave after recently welcoming her second child with her husband, who is known for his role as Gray Atkins on EastEnders between 2019 and 2022. The last time Tracy left the village, she moved to Nottingham to start over following the collapse of her marriage to Nate. While living there, she began a new relationship with a man named Ollie and even accepted his proposal. However, upon returning to the village, her feelings for Nate resurfaced, leading her to end the engagement and try again with the father of her child. Since their reunion, the couple has faced constant heartbreak and turmoil, making it understandable why Tracy now wants a fresh start elsewhere. Even so, she is overwhelmed with emotion as she says goodbye to her sister Vanessa and prepares to leave. The big question remains whether Kane will arrive in time to see them off and share a final moment with his granddaughter before they go. Is Kane Dingle leaving Emmerdale? Latest updates amid characters' cancer battle. During the Corriedale episode that aired in January, Kane was rushed to the hospital after being shot. While there, doctors informed him that a lump found inside him needed further testing for cancer. The waiting period was stressful enough for Kane and Moira, but the tension grew even worse when Celia Daniels and Ray Walters' control over the village finally came to an end. It's been a lot to handle, and we're only just into 2026. Here's a full update on Kane's cancer journey so far, along with the difficult situation Moira is facing. After returning home from the hospital, Kane had to endure the agonizing wait for his test results alongside Moira. Attention then shifted to Moira, who was arrested after authorities found ID cards in her home, suggesting she had been involved in Celia's modern slavery operation. Moira maintained her innocence, but because she couldn't explain how the cards ended up at her house, and, given her prior working relationship with Celia, she appeared suspicious. Meanwhile, Ruby Milligan learned that refugee Anya might have died. She discovered a burial site and contacted the police, not realizing it was located on Moira's farm. To her shock, Ruby watched as the authorities dug up what was supposed to be Anya's body, only to find someone else's instead. Moira was immediately taken into custody for double murder when the other body turned out to be Celia's. Unable to prove her innocence, Moira remains in prison and faces the possibility of being convicted for crimes she didn't commit. With Moira behind bars, Kane has had to take responsibility for the farm, run his garage, and care for their 2 sons. He's also been quietly grappling with a recent diagnosis of prostate cancer. Only Liam Kavanagh and Sarah Sugden were aware of Kane's condition. Both encouraged him to speak to others, but Kane insisted he was coping. Everything changed on Monday, March 9th, when Kane visited the police station to share his fears with Moira. The episode was highly emotional, as Kane broke down and revealed just how scared he was about what lies ahead. Moira then helped Kane devise a plan to tell the rest of his family, which was featured in the episode airing on Tuesday, March 10th. At this stage, there has been no confirmation that Jeff Hordley is leaving his role as Kane Dingle. This gives hope that Kane will survive his cancer journey, though anything can happen in the world of soaps. The prostate cancer storyline, according to Jeff, was created as the story of a man who doesn't normally open up about his feelings. It's one thing to have cancer, but the possible side effects of this illness can be particularly challenging for men's pride. Having to confront that and talk about it is a big part of the story. He emphasized that the storyline is also a major love story between Moira and Kane. That's the core of it, he explained. How they face these huge challenges, Moira in prison and Kane dealing with this diagnosis, is really central to their journey. When asked whether these events could break or strengthen their marriage, Jeff admitted he wasn't sure. It could go either way, and that's what makes it compelling. There are so many obstacles ahead for them, and it's going to test their relationship. Emmerdale airs weeknights at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and is also available for streaming on ITVX.